What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. JDS Outdoors. John here, and today is a special day. As you just saw, we went ahead and put the jet boat on the ground. Makes it easier to be able to lift things over, get down inside. The reason that's important is because we replaced the sawhorses with the boat with something else. It's finally here. It only took 2.5 weeks, being stuck in customs for 6 days, and also getting lost by the good old post office. But it's finally arrived, even though they tried sending it to the wrong place first. Here we have the big, beautiful intake. And it's made by Mini Jet, came out of good old Canada. And she's shiny and beautiful. Now we can go ahead and get this put in the boat over there and finally get some stuff done. I did order stomp grate with this, which goes on the bottom, as I was talking about in the last video. However, they were out of stock on stomp grates, I guess, which they didn't say online. And they didn't tell me about that until after they shipped this. But the stomp grate is in the mail and hopefully won't get held up in customs for a week and get lost by the mail people, and should hopefully be here in the next few days. Fingers crossed. We will see. We will see. But anyways, I ordered this to streamline the process. Yes, I know it took a little bit of time, and I apologize, but it is what it is. And a few reasons. Obviously, I explained the stomp grate before, but this right here is the carbon seal. It fits over that really nice. The billet machined end over here is a direct fit up for the pump sitting over there on the ground. It'll fit on there perfectly. And then all of the holes and tubes and everything lines up nice. It's ready to go. But I did notice there is some goodies packed inside here. So let's go ahead, pull all that stuff out and see what else came with this shiny intake without dropping stuff. So go ahead and set this on the ground. Got that. You know, those look like stomp grate parts, which isn't on here. A tube of caulk, can always use that, and some plugs. Those plugs go right there. So it looks like we got to cut a decent sized hole in the bottom of the boat, but the old plasma cutter will make quick work of that. Let's turn this over, see what the bottom looks like. Hopefully without dropping it. So it looks like stomp grate parts will fit in here and then come out, sit flat on this, and then the hinge or the bars should hopefully go over there on the back side of the boat. It seems to be, this is cast, seems to be cast pretty well. Couple little imperfections, but that won't really matter too much. The drive shaft hole is nice and smooth. Cool. Well, let's get the billet end removed and the pump removed from the base so we can get this mocked up in the boat. See how big of a hole we got to cut. So if I'm understanding this correctly, this piece is going to sit tight against the transom, and this piece is going to go on the outside of the transom, and it's going to sandwich it together. At least that's the way I'm understanding it. Let's remove the base so we can put that in the boat and see how she lines up. All right, before I remove it, I wanted to check something. I wanted to see how the fitment was, because I noticed that this wasn't all the way to the end of the base. So what that tells me is that we need to cut a hole in the transom so the base can stick through the back. But we can't mark that out until after we get the hole cut in the floor first, because this piece needs to sit down below the bottom of the boat. And the reason for that is there's going to be 3/8 plastic mounted on the outside of the bottom, and you want the plastic to be slightly below this. So I'm going to mount this 1/4 inch below the bottom of the boat. That way the plastic is 1/16 of an inch below the bottom of this, and we can smooth that out to get that transition right. So let's get this this piece taken off of the base, get the base centered, and mark out the hole so we can cut that out. It also appears that my keel plate needs to get welded in a little bit more before we cut that hole out. So let's remove, mark out, weld, then cut. Enjoy the crappy music. Alright, so we got what we can get cut out with the saw cut out. And it's become pretty evident to me that I'm going to lose my back part of my keel plate, which kind of sucks, but that's alright. And the reason being is because on the new intake, it's going to come out, stick out right here, and about the same spot on the other side, and there's holes for the drain plugs. And you won't be able to get a drain in here with this plate here. So unfortunately, we're going to have to waste all this diamond plate and cut that off. The tool we're going to use for that is, we're just going to make quick work of it with the plasma cutter. And also same for finishing up the cuts here. As you can see, we got our cut to right there and right there. So we'll just buzz that off with the plasma cutter and hopefully be left with a nice square hole. Now hindsight's 20/20, so if I knew I was going to do this before, I would have never cut that chunk out to begin with. I would have just left it alone. Can't talk, I guess. But left it alone, not put that diamond plate in there, and just waited till I got the intake. But I'll remember that for next time. So let's go ahead and melt some metal with the plasma cutter. Starting with the back side, keel plate, and moving in. All right, the hole's cut, and she's sitting down in there. Doesn't look too bad. We got the, so the bolts aren't in, but the holes are lined up, and it's a pretty snug fit against the transom. So that's good. It ended up lining up pretty good out back here for the holes. Obviously, it's still loose, but there's a little bit of play in it. It gives enough to fine-tune that angle, make sure it's perfectly centered, and then the weld will hold it in place. So that is the next step, is to start getting this puppy welded in and set to the right depth, obviously. Once we get the base welded in, I'm just going to start with some tacks. I'll do full welds later. But once you get the base welded in, then we can throw a couple bolts here in the intake and flip this boat around or lift it up and reach your hand inside to draw the circle. It's like a circle because it's never ending. Anyways, draw the circle. We can get that bad boy cut out, but we want to make sure that's in the right spot first. So let's get figure out exactly where this base needs to be and get her welded in, and then it's motor time. Alright, so the base is tacked in place. We threw a couple bolts in to get her centered. She's got a nice snug fit against the transom. Slight pressure towards the transom, so she'll create a nice seal. Let's get this thing up in the air, look underneath it, and see how well the measurements came out. Should be about 1/4 inch below the bottom of the boat. That way the UHMW can go below it. And so check that out and then draw the circle. So let's get this thing up in the air. Well, she's up in the air. Let's go take a look at her. So it looks like the front should come down, but actually, you know what? I think I kind of like that. So that pump sits level and flush with the back of the transom here. Or the pump, the hole. That all sits flush. And we can angle the UHMW down, smooth that out. You know, I don't think that'll be a problem because there's a nice ridge here to allow the UHMW to butt up against it. And we can always feather that down. Yeah, let's run with it. And we got plenty of space to weld, get everything else tidied up. I think that'll work. Because if we lower the front down too much more, we're going to change the angle of the pump so that won't sit flush against the transom. And it's also going to make this corner sit way farther down so it'll actually stick below the UHMW. And the whole purpose of that UHMW is to keep it protected. Keep it, if you hit a rock or go over rocks, it's meant to hit the plastic and not the metal. So, cool. Well, here's a look underneath the old boat here. Doesn't look too shabby. Let's go ahead and mark out that circle right there. There we go, all marked out. Now we can put it back in the garage and cut that hole. She does look pretty level side to side. So that's always a plus. Sweet. High flying jet boat. Maybe we'll get it this high out of the water. Wouldn't that be something? Let's go cut the hole. Well, let's go have a look-see at the lineup for the first time together. I haven't even looked at it yet. So the moment of truth. How does she look? You know, that's not too bad. Just needs a little bit more sanding. There's a little bit of a lip here. So you can see not here. There's a little lip there. Nothing there. You can hear it. Sweet. I know the mounting holes aren't quite in yet, but let's take a look at what that billet end looks like, just to get the blood going a little bit more. Oh yeah, that is gonna be frickin' sweet. Awesome. Well, now the intake, ladies and gents, is pretty much in. We just got a few more holes to drill, and that's about it. And obviously weld it fully, but we'll weld everything together at once. Next step is mounting the engine. And I was going to include that in this video, but I film everything on my phone, and I really need a new phone. I'm just about out of minutes of filming. So that is going to conclude this video. It's probably long enough anyways. But check out the video coming up next, where we throw in the little Rotax up there, a little 3-cylinder, 155 horsepower in this 10-foot boat. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Let me know what you guys think of the progress so far. And we won't have 2 weeks in between videos now that we got parts and things to do. So as always, thank you for watching JDS Outdoors. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.